Today, we're looking at the 8th generation Pontiac Grand Prix. This iconic sedan ushered in an evolution of muscle, style, and a whole lot of torque. Pontiac's 8th generation Grand Prix was a major update in the long-standing history of this model. For a time, it was the car that had it all: speed, comfort, and undeniable style. It wasn't just another car, it was a vehicle that perfectly blended performance with everyday usability. So let's dig into the updates, the trims, the powertrains, and everything else that made the Grand Prix a standout in Pontiac's lineup. Now, the 2004 Grand Prix wasn't just a mere facelift, it was a complete reinvention of what Pontiac's sedan could be. The car was built on a revised version of General Motors' W platform, which was essentially a reworked structure that allowed for improvements in handling, comfort, and overall driving dynamics. Think of it like giving an old muscle car a new skeleton. More modern and efficient, but still with that signature punch under the hood. At its core, the Grand Prix was reintroduced as a sleek, modern ride. It first made waves as the Grand Prix G-Force concept back in 2002, a preview of what was to come. But it wasn't until January 2003 at the Los Angeles Auto Show that the production model debuted to much fanfare. And let's be honest, the reviews were stellar. The design was fresh, the performance was improved, and overall, it seemed that Pontiac had crafted a vehicle that perfectly balanced performance with everyday usability. Now, there's a noticeable change when we look at the Grand Prix for 2004. The two-door coupe version was gone. But here's the interesting thing. The exit of the coupe wasn't just some random deletion, it signaled a new era for Pontiac. In the wake of the coupe's departure, GM reintroduced the Pontiac GTO, focusing more on performance-oriented vehicles, like that iconic muscle car. But don't worry, the Grand Prix didn't lose its spark. It still had plenty of trims and powertrains that would satisfy anyone looking for that classic Pontiac performance with a modern twist. Let's start by talking about the trims offered for the 2004 Grand Prix, the GT1 and GT2 models. These trims were the entry-level variants, but don't think for a second that they were basic. Both the GT1 and GT2 came equipped with the 3800 Series 3 V6 engine, which was no slouch. This V6 was capable of producing 200 horsepower and 230 foot-pounds of torque. Sure, these numbers might not sound like much by today's standards, but they were more than enough to give the Grand Prix some serious street credit. It wasn't just about straight-line speed either. The 3800 V6 offered dependable handling, and it could take you from 0 to 60 miles per hour in a respectable amount of time. It was a workhorse engine, offering that perfect blend of everyday usability and performance. And for those looking for a little extra luxury, the GT2 came equipped with a head-up display. Not a big deal? Try driving with it, and you'll quickly realize how much more immersive it makes the driving experience. It's a game changer, making you feel like you're in a high-tech fighter jet, not just a sedan. Now, if you were after more performance, the Grand Prix GTP and GTP Comp G were the models to look at. These trims came with the supercharged version of the 3800 Series 3 V6 powered by the Eaton Gen 5 supercharger. The result? A healthy 260 horsepower and 280 foot-pounds of torque. The difference between these and the regular GT models was immediately noticeable. The supercharger provided that instant torque hit you could feel, and when you mashed the throttle, it wasn't just about speed, it was about feeling that adrenaline rush as the engine screamed to life. The Comp G took things even further with sportier features like a sport-tuned suspension and performance tires for a better grip on the road. And if you were a driving enthusiast, the 3.29 axle ratio and Magnasteer 2 steering system made for an even more engaging driving experience, making the Comp G an ideal performance car for those who wanted to experience all that Pontiac had to offer. While performance was certainly a key focus for Pontiac, they didn't forget about luxury and comfort. In 2004, they offered the Grand Prix GT2 Special Edition, which, while not a pure performance machine, still brought plenty of features to the table. Think chrome spoke wheels, heated leather seats, and a monsoon premium sound system. This wasn't just another trim. It was an attempt to bring a little extra flair and comfort to the Grand Prix lineup, making it perfect for those who wanted a more luxurious ride without sacrificing style. And yes, that head-up display made a return in this trim as well. Because when you're driving a Pontiac, you deserve a little extra tech in your life, right? But let's not get ahead of ourselves. 2005 saw the introduction of the Grand Prix GXP, which was the performance model to end all performance models. The GXP came with a 5.3-liter LS4 V8 engine, and with 303 horsepower and 323 foot-pounds of torque, it was a beast. The Grand Prix GXP was capable of hitting 0 to 60 miles per hour in the low 5-second range, putting it on par with some of the best-performing sedans of the era. But the GXP wasn't just about straight-line speed. It had the handling to match. Pontiac upgraded the suspension with Bilstein struts, giving the GXP improved cornering capabilities. And the lower ride height? It wasn't just for looks. It helped the car hug the road better, making it even more capable during aggressive driving. Visually, the GXP was a stunner. The front bumper was redesigned with larger, more aggressive air intakes, and cooling vents on the front fenders added to the car's menacing appearance. And then there were those twin dual-polished exhaust tips, because if you've got the power, you've got to show it off. Those staggered width 18-inch Alcoa-forged aluminum wheels, they weren't just for show either. They provided the perfect balance of style and performance. The GXP wasn't just a car, it was a statement, a vehicle that screamed performance without saying a word. As we moved into 2006, Pontiac continued to refine the Grand Prix. The special edition body package made its debut, bringing with it a more aggressive front grille, a sportier front and rear bumper, and a body-colored grille to give the car a more polished look. The GXP retained its 5.3-liter V8 engine, but the GT models also saw some performance upgrades. A sportier suspension was introduced to give the car a more athletic feel on the road. And as for the GTP name, well, that was gone. Reassigned to the Pontiac G6 lineup, signaling the shift in Pontiac's focus to a more refined version of their sporty sedans. By 2007, the Grand Prix lineup had been streamlined with 3 main trims, Base, GT, and GXP remaining. The GXP's 5.3-liter V8 received a tweak in the form of active fuel management, which allowed for improved fuel efficiency without sacrificing that signature power. The interior also saw some upgrades, with leather seats, a head-up display, and 18-inch wheels rounding out the package, ensuring that you felt just as good on the inside as you did behind the wheel. By 2008, the Grand Prix was entering its final years. The GT trim was discontinued, leaving only the Base and GXP trims in the lineup. Despite these changes, the Grand Prix still retained that signature Pontiac flair, blending performance, style, and practicality in a way that few other sedans could. But it was clear that the end was near. With GM's restructuring in 2010 and the eventual dissolution of the Pontiac brand, the Grand Prix's days were numbered. The replacement? The Pontiac G8, a larger, more refined sedan that carried on the spirit of the Grand Prix while marking the end of an era for the iconic brand. And if you want to learn about the G8 Go, check out the video I made not too long ago talking all about it. Okay, back to the Grand Prix. So, what were the key takeaways from the 8th generation Pontiac Grand Prix? First off, the 2004 redesign was a game changer. It wasn't just an update, it was a statement. The GTP Comp G was the performance model to beat, offering incredible handling and sportiness. Then there was the 2005 GXP trim, featuring that 5.3-liter V8, one of the few front-wheel drive V8s you could get at the time. But as time went on, the GTP name disappeared, replaced by a more refined GXP. And of course, the 2008 Grand Prix marked the final year of production, with only 2 trims remaining in the lineup. Despite its relatively short production run, the Pontiac Grand Prix left an indelible mark on the performance sedan market. Whether you were after a car that screamed on the street or one that handled like a dream, the 8th generation Grand Prix had it all. So the next time you spot one on the road, know that you're witnessing a true piece of Pontiac's performance history, a car that will forever stand as one of the brand's greatest achievements. Before you go, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into iconic cars like the Pontiac Grand Prix. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on the performance goodness we've got lined up. See you next time.